5:38.
Yep.
So, how did everybody do with that packet of info? Sounds like everybody did kind of okay. No, did I get it right? Was all the stuff that was supposed to be in there in there?
I was able to find a lot.
I found a lot.
Okay.
I just found the minutes, actually. I had October 28th, so it must have been the last batch, but I'm reading the minutes now.
Okay, well, it's just,
Thank
I ended up with, there was like 17 or 18 files, and, I
Yeah.
couldn't, email them and everything else, so, I sent them that way. Well, thank you, everybody got here. How did you access the meeting, can I ask? Did you go to the agenda and click that link?
Yes,
Or
I
did you
did.
get it from Ron,
I did.
from Ron's email?
That was
I usually email.
I got
I
it
use
from Ron's
email.
email.
Ron's
I
email. I could not use
Okay.
the meeting ID or passcode. I had to go to the agenda and click on the link.
Okay, that was not you, that was me. I found that earlier, and somehow I sent the correct passcode, and Zoom, everything, the Zoom link went fine to the town and for the public. And then somehow when I saved it, it went to the old password. I mean, I did something.
Yeah.
But
Well, it was the same thing. It was the same thing for the selectmen's meeting last night.
yeah,
The meeting ID and passcode was wrong. Had to go back to the agenda to click on, but
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna put myself on hold, and Cindy Lloyd is trying to call me. I'll be right back.
Hmm. The older I get, the smaller these letters become. It's like, I'm gonna need a microphone. I was like, oh, this is not good. Excuse me, I need to get a pen. All right.
Okay, I'm back in.
Hi, Mike.
You can hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay, good, okay, all right. Cindy, had the link wrong. One of the things that is good about using the Google Drive is you can go in and change things and everybody gets it. Next time they go into the link, they get the change.
Mm.
So I tried it. I'm surprised it went as well as it did. But as I mentioned, that's also sort of the way that when we have laptops, when we have our own tablets, that's kind of the way it's going to work. And that'll bring up another question for discussion later on. But right now we want over the minutes. Or does anybody have anything they want to bring up right away?
Mike, your
No?
microphone is more muffled than usual. I don't know if you have something in front of it.
How about now? Is that better?
I think that's better. Say something
How about
more.
now?
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
Is Cindy
Well,
joining us, Mike, or is she excused?
no, she's joining us. I had to send her the link again. She didn't have the email. And this will come up here in a moment. There's the dip. Okay, the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from our December 8th meeting?
I'll make
So
a
moved.
motion.
Okay, Jane Ludwig moved, and
Mr. Chair.
Paul, did you second? Yep. Paul
Before we
second.
get started, yeah, I'll second, but before we get started, could we just do a roll call to make sure who's here and who's not for the minutes, please?
Sure.
That way there, it's in the minutes. Other than that, the minutes won't recognize that, I don't think.
All right, I'll call it off. I see Herbert, myself,
Here.
Ray, Tracy,
Oh, that's right.
Alfred, Dennis, Jane Ludwig, Susan Chenard, and Lutz Wallem, Jack Daly, Jim Spanos, Paul, Cindy, myself, and in the audience we have Ron Beard.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so there's a motion and a second to accept the minutes from our December 8th meeting. Discussion? Again, discussion, anyone? Okay. Hearing no discussion, all in favor of approving the minutes from our December 8th meeting, please raise your right hand.
Aye.
Hey,
Okay, so let's see what we have here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and myself, 13. Okay, it's unanimous. The minutes are approved from December 8th. Thank you.
put your hand in there. It's either that or you gotta lift it up.
And let's see, the next, I shouldn't have done it that way. I bumped myself out.
Oh, turn down that light until we get, oh, now it's too dark. Do something better than that.
Okay. Adjustments to 2021 meeting schedule. So I spoke with the town, and then I spoke with Woodstock, is we didn't want to do it on the 13th because we have Jim and Paul are in the planning board meeting. So I called over, and Jane and John have requested that I do it and not have them, although we got the 13th meeting from them. So I did, and we got it moved to the 20th.
Oh, good for you.
Woodstock was all set with the 20th. However,
Oh.
that is a night of a zoning board meeting.
Oh.
And every week, every Wednesday in January has either zoning or planning in it. So if we do it on a night that there's a zoning board meeting, we lose Ray, Jack, and Paul, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
And
Mr.
I'm an alternate on that.
Mr. Chair, maybe we could do it at either earlier or later time than the zoning, depending upon the agenda of the zoning meeting. We have any idea what that agenda is?
No.
Just a thought.
Sometimes zoning board does not have anything on their agenda.
Right. It's pretty rare that we actually meet.
Correct.
Okay.
You may want to find out just what's it, if there is a meeting on the 20th, what's on the agenda, and then that might help out the situation. Just a thought.
Hey,
Yes,
Mis-
we could do
Mr.
that.
Mr. Chairman, to
Yes,
date,
Jack.
to date, the three of us, Paul, Ray, and myself, have not received a notice of a hearing. I would suggest that you contact the town offices and say, please don't schedule anything on the 20th for the ZBA. That's all. Because that's just a booked night, so.
Why don't we check the town website to see if there's, what the agenda would be? Hang on a minute.
There
You're
there
looking,
wasn't.
Well, it's still more than 30 days out, so something can come in between now and January 20th.
Right, but Jimmy, we should be able to schedule it for a different night, right?
Exactly, Susan. We do the
Okay.
scheduling. They don't tell us when.
Right.
Okay. Everybody okay with that?
I am.
Because Woodstock would be happy to have us, and she actually changed it on her schedule before I got back to her, on the 20th,
20th?
the 20th. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, everyone. 20th it is.
I would recommend though, Mike, that you let Carol
Carol.
Bond,
Yes, I'll let her know tomorrow.
something to Carol, so she's aware.
Thanks, Paul.
So
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
that's January 20th, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
All right, we'll do that.
5:30, yep, got it.
Yes, 5:30 Zoom. They'll send us the link, and
Yep, sounds good, thank you.
we'll go from there.
Okay.
Um,
Are we zooming
Any
from
other-
Woodstock or Lincoln?
Pardon me?
Whoop, 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 whoop.
I didn't. Go ahead. Say it again.
I said, are we zooming from Woodstock or Lincoln?
First time
we
we'll
have to do it from
all have a
Woodstock,
seat.
don't we?
Yeah, a little humor, Mike, that's all.
No, I liked it. That was good.
That's funny.
I was just saying we have to Zoom from Woodstock. It's their meeting. Now, one of the things that we were going to talk about, and I don't know if we should do this as part of number 4 or number 3, as to what budgets we're going to discuss when. Tracy sent us in that folder is the budget and the dates that we discussed them last year. Oh, I should move my phone over there. I should leave it here. There's a listing in there of the dates Now, I can read them off.
Hey.
Um,
Can we,
Go ahead.
Jack,
Go ahead,
actually Jack Daly at the last meeting suggested that we keep somewhat similar dates as last year. And looking over, I think we're pretty close on most of those dates within a day or two.
That's good news.
You know, I mean,
Everybody-
like the first one,
everybody-
January 7th, we could do cemetery. And instead of the 9th, we could do the 12th and then we get a 14th. Instead of
Oh,
16th, we could do a 19th. So, I mean, we could just move them to the dates that we've picked out here. And I think Jack's thing would be pretty good.
Paul, would you want January 7th to be January 5th? Like January 7th last year be January 5th this year? Budget year? Say it was
We could-
7th and 9th.
We
as
could do that.
seven.
We could do that, make it earlier so that we would have more time in case there was some issues coming up. Because I think there's some pretty big budget changes between police and fire and those may involve some discussions.
I think that's a good idea. Our original schedule we put together for 21 had the 5th as a date.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm kind of comparing
So-
them.
Well,
All
but
right.
we did have January 30th, February 4th. Oh, excuse me. It would have been here, we would have been January 28th. Would be the vote, so we would have, on this year's schedule, we would have February 2nd, and February 4th, and February 9th. We have 3 available dates, I think, from what I'm saying, to move things around
Yes,
before the town meeting.
yes. And look at that, January 20th is the joint meeting with Woodstock.
Right.
Right,
Just
so we
by
can work that in.
So we start January 5th. Is that what you're saying, Paul? And
Yeah,
Tracy
I would think that.
And Susan?
Yeah,
Start-
basically.
Okay,
2 days earlier when you compare last year's season to this year's season.
So January 5th would be the cemetery, planning, streetlights, long-term debt, interest and health agencies on January 5th. January 7th would be the town clerk, tax collector, elections, public works, water, sewer, welfare, executive and town hall. January 12th would be recreation, community building, solid waste.
It'd have to be the 20th.
Well, unless we
Joint
just wait. Yeah, so we would have to figure out whether we want to have one on the 12th and on, or just do the meeting with Woodstock on the 20th.
Can we see
Um,
what's on the 21st or 23rd with what's happening on the 12th?
okay, if you look at that schedule, because we have the 16th, which is the week prior. And if we do the Woodstock joint meeting on the 20th, and then we come in and do our meeting on Thursday, the 21st, for fire, legal, insurance, patriotic.
The 21st, we don't have a meeting.
No,
That
we
was
don't
last
have a
year.
meeting. Right, I'm sorry, I'm looking at last year's, and
Right.
so after the 20th,
Fifth.
So I
so,
think yeah, maybe what we ought to do is, move them up. Move them up on, so instead of the 14th being recreation, community building, solid waste, because that's the joint meeting. And now that's changed to the 20th, so we gotta find something to fill on the 14th.
right,
Well, 12th, but yeah.
Yeah,
So maybe we do capital reserve, special warrant articles, trustees of the trust fund.
okay,
Does that make sense
Okay
to
with
do
me.
that on
yes,
the 14th? And then the 19th, we'll do fire department, legal, insurance, and patriotic purposes on the 19th. And then that brings the 20th for recreation, community building, solid waste, and that whole thing on the 20th brings us back to the 20th.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And then we only have, let's see, the 26th, we can do library, police, emergency management, and personal administration. And then we're actually one ahead because we have January 28th when we could do vote on budgets on the 28th.
Excuse me, about 26 for library, police. Okay,
I've been spouting it off and kind of writing down, but I mean, I don't know what anyone thinks.
I'm writing them down.
Tracy, you got it? Yeah. The 28th, and then it still leaves us February 2nd, the 4th, and the 9th for snow dates if we have anything.
And
Is that-
January 12th didn't end up having anything.
You are right.
That's because we backed it up a day to start on the 5th.
Right.
So the capital reserve list would have to be not on the 14th, but on the 12th.
Well, unless we just start a meeting on the 7th and didn't have a meeting, we can meet on the 7th and just not have one on the 5th.
Just one point, one recommendation is that we can put together this whole schedule, but then Mike should give it to the town to make sure that the people that are presenting those budgets are available on those dates. So, I mean, we'll create a schedule, but it has to go to the town so they can agree to it. Correct, Mike?
Yes, that's pretty much decorum. It's sure we want to work with them.
Yeah,
So
so
why
You know, we
don't we?
those were
how
my
about if
thoughts too, Cindy. Thank you.
Yep,
Go ahead.
is then,
The 12th is the only one that we're missing.
well, then why
Something.
don't we leave those dates open?
There's a snow day
We-
possibility.
The 12th,
agreed
yeah,
to
that might
start-
give us an earlier date.
We've agreed to start on the 5th, right?
Yep.
Okay, so why don't we leave those dates open that we don't have anything for in case something has to be moved?
So that would be the January 12th date, the
Right.
February 2nd, February 4th, and February 9th would give us dates that we can move things to or say, hey, we need a little more information or we want to meet.
No, February 4th is the public hearing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're right. So it would leave us the 28th and the 2nd, am I right? 28th and the 2nd,
January 12th?
The 12th, the 28th, and the 2nd.
correct.
Well, the 28th, we just said was going to be vote on budgets.
Right.
Yeah, that's a pretty quick process. So if we really had to meet with if we had some other stuff we had to discuss, we could do that on the 28th and then vote on the budgets.
Right.
If there were some
Yeah.
more questions or something.
Hmm.
But
And
having
then-
the open date on the 12th leaves you, in case people can't make the meeting, then
Right.
you can rearrange some things. You're right. That's good. That works out well.
Okay, so let me repeat what I have here. I have January 5th is the cemetery planning streetlights one. January 7th, town clerk, tax collector elections row. January 12th is open. January 20th is recreation, community building and solid waste, which is the joint meeting with Woodstock. Oh, I skipped the 14th. I'm sorry. January 14th would be capital reserve, special warrant articles, trustee of the trust funds. January 19th is fire department, legal, insurance, patriotic purposes. January 26th, library, police, emergency management, personal administration. I have 28th as vote on budgets. February 2nd is then open as a snow day. February 4th is the public hearing. February 9th is open either for a second public hearing or a date if we need it. And March 9th is the town meeting.
Sounds good.
Yep.
And
I'll make-
did you catch January 20th too in there, which is the
Yes.
combined meeting with Woodstock?
Yes, I
Yes.
should have that.
Okay, good.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion, we adopt those dates for our meetings and the items.
How about if we do that at the next meeting?
Oh, you don't? All right, you just want to preliminarily send them to the selectmen, have
Yeah,
Jane?
let me see if I can get this to them, tomorrow or
Yeah.
Friday, and then have an answer for us next Tuesday.
Yeah.
And we
Jane,
could also.
Jane, how close are they, Jane?
I'm sorry? How close are what? The dates? I don't know what you said.
How close do you think the Board of Selectmen are to finishing up prior to January 5th?
We're very close. January 5th will be done.
Okay, so
Yeah, absolutely.
by January
All right.
5th, if you're done, and these dates are pretty firm right now,
Oh.
I would think.
There you go, Paul. If I could
Yes.
add, Chair, those who wanted to hear the Woodstock Rec Community Center we have a joint meeting with the BOS in Woodstock on the 21st. So you're welcome to zoom in on that and listen to it prior to having your own meeting with them. That's, again, it's December 21st at 5:30.
Oh, December 21st, okay.
Yes,
I know.
sir.
Now, Mike, you're going to take this to the town and see if they agree, but we're not scheduled to have a meeting next week.
No, but on a meeting thing, oh, that's right, as far as voting.
You could just send it out and tell us, what the decision was.
Hey,
Yeah,
Mike,
one second, Jack.
Yep.
There's no restriction to us setting meetings up outside of a public forum. We can do
Right.
that. So yes, I will do that, and I'll get it back to you. You'll have it as soon as I know it. Okay, Jack?
Mike, I'll second Paul's motion and just add this caveat, Paul, subject to approval by the Board of Selectmen. That way there, we don't have to go through this again next time.
I would agree. I mean, because we got it all down. It sounds like from what Jane said, the Board of Selectmen is going to be ready by January 5th. So it would make sense to get this down now. I would agree, Chad.
Thank you.
And we can change anything we need to when we're in the middle of the season.
Mhm.
That's what I mean. So I'm okay with that. At first I was going to say, well, it's not really settled, but one of the things I want to put in there is if we have to, we can move the vote on budgets. We can move that up to the 2nd if we need another day for a meeting. Voting on the budgets could come later. So I'm all right if you want to restate the motion.
The motion is to adopt the budget meeting schedule and the departments which will be coming, subject to the approval of the Board of Selectmen approving the budget.
And the
How
schedule.
about,
But you also need input from those people that will participate in that meeting. It really should go to Butch, so you can, know that's the schedule we're gonna follow,
That comes to the Board of Selectmen. And once they approve it and say, yeah, we're okay with that, they can let the department heads know. And they'll, I would think the budget chair, Mike would say who he wants to come and
Okay.
I mean, that's probably,
So-
actually, that's a good idea, I guess, Cindy, is that we have to decide, do we want department heads there during our discussions or not? And that might be a good discussion to have as well at this time, I would think.
okay, so we don't have a motion in a second yet. And instead of, I just say, maybe you want to restate that, instead of approval, availability of the town and town employees.
That sounds fine. I'm okay with that.
That's good.
Okay,
That's
so I'll give you the fun of restating it.
Okay, Make a motion to accept the budget committee meeting schedule for 2020 to 2021 as we have stated tonight, subject to the approval of the Board of Selectmen, availability of the department heads.
Perfect.
I'll second.
Second, discussion? Okay. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Opposed? Abstain? Okay, it's unanimous. We've approved the listing of dates and the budgets to be discussed at each date. Based on receiving the approved and recommended Board of Selectmen's budget and the availability of town staff.
Okay.
Okay,
Mike?
Paul? Yes.
I just want to clarify with everybody that, or you, do we want every department head to be present during their budget? So we want the police department, Chad, Ron, Nate, Tara, Butch. So are we going to use that same thing that we've always done and every department head will be present? Is that the understanding
Well,
here?
there's not a requirement that everyone be
Right.
present. We can request, and yes, they do need to come in. But if we were having a separate discussion without them at the head table, they could be, if they wanted to, be in the audience.
Oh, yeah, correct. No, I'm not saying we don't invite them. I just want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to say whether or not they want them there or not. I mean, I would encourage
All right.
them to be there. I would encourage them to be there so everyone can ask any questions they have. So for me as a budget committee member, it's always nice to be able to look at the department head and say, what's this for? What's that for? What are you using that? And how come you did this last year and not this year? But I mean, especially in the fire and police for sure. Nate's budgets are pretty flat, but I mean, we still may have some questions for him. So, I mean, the library and the cemetery trustees, we've always had them all there. So, I mean, but this is the COVID, this is the time to Zoom, so it doesn't make any difference, I guess is what I'm asking.
Correct.
Correct. So convention, in every year past, we've had them there.
Yes.
And so having them there this year, kind of like continue the way we have done it in the past,
Mhm.
is, at first I thought maybe you were thinking that you didn't want them there.
Oh, no.
Okay, all right. So, yeah,
I like to bring 'em.
and at the end of each meeting, we can, ask, and, we have them there, we request that they be on the Zoom meeting, meeting next time we're scheduled. And so as part of my discussion with the town, I would ask that we have somebody there from cemetery planning, streetlights, long-term, and health agencies. Well, not have yet, but Butch will cover a bunch of those.
Right.
Okay?
Yep, I'm fine with that.
Good. All right, that's everything? All right, thank you very much. We go into number 4 now, and that is a discussion of the draft 2021 budget.
Yes. Can I start? Chair, just to fill you in last night's meeting and where we're at as far as the Board of Selectmen are concerned. We added, can you hear me or am I too loud? We added $15,000 in the planning in the budget for computers, but I told them that Jack said in October 28, only $3,000 we'd need. So I'm not sure. Where's Jack?
I'm here.
But we're way over $3,000. There's $15,000 in the budget, and planning and the budget committee. We increased the attorney fees to $275,000. You go look to legal, it was down to 200, I believe. So we increased that. What else is there? I know there's more. That is about it. I know there's let's see. There was a proposal at length. We listened to Ron's proposal regarding the fire department. We're talking about putting that on 2 different grants, one for the money for the clothing and stuff, and one to accept the grant. At the grant itself is, and Ron can check in on this anytime, so I think it's $195,000 worth of 6 full-time firefighters. And I'm sure when he gets his chance and you read his material, he'll give you his presentation. What am I missing, Paul? You were there.
Police,
Oh, police, you know, I already gave you the information last week about the police. Getting 3 new full-time firefighters. We did approve that. Let's see, I'm trying to.
Firefighters or police?
3 new police, you said, last time.
Okay.
We approved 3 new police officers. Based on the information that Chad presented us, he has 10 currently, so we will have 13. Based on the need of the town and the growth of the town. Not necessarily when it's everybody who lives here year round, but when we have a lot of people in town, you'll see your numbers increase tremendously for need. I mean, we're up to what, 30,000, 40,000 a day. So we agreed to that. And the warrant articles we have not written yet. There is a water committee meeting this Wednesday at 3 o'clock. They're going to talk about the meters and we're going to talk about putting that on a warrant article also, but we're waiting to get feedback from the committee members.
Jane, I
And they
think
have a meeting.
Jane, that's Thursday at 3:30.
I have Thursday at 3. They changed it 3:30.
Well, it was, oh, maybe they did change it back to 3.
Yeah, though that's what I heard yesterday. So
Okay, awesome.
People should double
Awesome.
check, Cindy.
yeah, I have to look, I don't,
On the 17th. So that's more information for you to kind of enrich your mind about what's happening in town and where we're going and what directions. So the new budget you'll be getting is the budget. And I do believe that's it, unless I can think of anything else. We're not done with the health budget. If you want to look at that, we have not finished that. We have that budget to complete. We're not sure about one of the buildings being opening in Plymouth. Tammy had mentioned that they weren't even open, so we weren't sure about that donation in the health budget. Welfare was up. If you looked at welfare, you'll notice that she's asking for a higher increase. Although she didn't spend quite that much, the initial, she's concerned, which makes sense. She's concerned about having more people in need after the COVID event, because we really don't know what's going to happen. And that's kind of how she presented it. So we increased that budget. She has increased that budget when you look at that, the welfare budget. What else? Is there any questions? It's easier for me to go page by page. Let's see. And Tara will talk about the rec department, how they're going to run that. You must have seen that our revenue is down from last year because of the less people. Yeah. The budget was recommended at 300,000. We decreased it to 275,000. I wanted it that high because I don't know what's going to happen. Are there any questions?
Go ahead, Paul.
yeah, I have a couple of questions or maybe comments. I'd like to see if we could get this year, what the cost of the employee benefits is in regards to vacation, sick leave, dental, medical, long and short-term disability and death benefit. I know it's a significant amount of money per employee. We used to be able to get what it costs. And I know there's the privacy law, but all we really need to do is, what I'd like to know is how much each employee gets. It doesn't have to be sectioned out, so that we know what that cost is.
Sectioned
go
out by
ahead.
department.
Pardon me?
So now,
Sectioned out by department, correct?
Oh, it used to be sectioned out by employee. In other words, if Paul Bowden was an employee, it wouldn't say how much I got for medical or dental or life, or it would just give a total amount. That way there you don't, get into the personal administration, knowing what someone's getting for a health benefit or anything like that. The other thing I'd like to know is, like to ask is, are we gonna get hard copies? Because I can tell you, like, for example, right now, I'm on Zoom and I can't use my computer because my wife's on the Zoom meeting in the other room with her budget committee using my home computer, so I can't see the budgets. So,
Let's hold that, that's a good question, let's hold that off till later.
okay, all right.
I
And
can-
then if we could get a copy of the actual to-date expenditures, I think, did you get that email I sent to you, Mike? I was asking about, we used to get a copy of the actual by department year-to-date expenditures. So in other words, we would know what legal has spent to date. We would know what, you know,
Yeah.
all the line items of the highway department, the police department,
Well,
what they had spent in each category, so
Right.
we would know.
All right.
We've had that once or twice so far this
You
year. haven't we?
have, yes, and I think
Yeah.
November now.
I mean, and this is, this is going towards the final part of the year when we're looking at the budget. So I generally take a look at what they've spent versus what they're requesting, and sometimes, who knows, things pop up, so.
Yeah, I'm fine, yeah, we can request that.
Yep.
Other than that, those are the only questions I have.
Jane, so, unless, does anybody else have their hand up? I didn't notice. No? Okay. What was the cost of the tablets that was put into the budget?
$15,000, which I think
I'm
is a
trying to-
lot myself, but, and it's
Well-
Paul, he wants hard copy. You're not getting a computer, Paul.
That's okay.
Hold
That's
Hold on
okay. I
one
have
second.
got my own tablet for $1,200, so I mean, just,
on, please. That's why I'm going, is like, and Ron, feel free to jump in here, we'll request it from you, but, you can get a top-of-the-line laptop for $1,000. The tablets we were looking at were nowhere near $1,000. Is there something I'm missing?
I'm not sure if maybe software and docking stations might have added to the cost.
That's exactly right.
That's still a lot.
Okay.
Whole thing.
And that could
I
be
didn't,
now,
I didn't price them out, so I think they called certified and that's what they got for a price. The outfit they use for their IT here.
Mm.
okay, and now the budget committee is not the only ones that are going to use them, correct?
Yes. The planning board, we have it in the line item for the planning board also. As far as a board representative, I think, I don't know, I didn't ask my colleagues this, but the planning board uses tremendous amount of paper, way more than you could possibly think of here. And they had thought at one point about having folks that are coming in and asking for some things to be developed, to have those people pay for it, but I don't think that has come to fruition. And so I think the planning board, if they know how to run the computers, it will be very helpful, yeah. You folks, it's totally up to you. I mean, I prefer hard copies myself, so.
Copies. I just sort of want to stick on the price of the tablets.
Yeah.
Mike,
Is only because I think that's fine if you're going to get something that the planning board can also use in our off season. I don't know if there's any stuff that it's going to be, all of a sudden now when we get it back the next year, is all of our things from the previous year on there? I don't know. So I'm just throwing that out in the sense of $1,000 per tablet seemed high. But there's some more questions as to how we're going to be able to use them.
Yeah, we wouldn't really be able to share with planning if
No,
right.
we're meeting on Tuesday, they're meeting on Wednesday, we're meeting on Thursday.
you won't have to share. You all have your own.
Right.
Okay, all right. Jack?
Mike, I think Ron Beard and I had mentioned them at the last meeting. When we both looked at the tablets, I think a real good tablet was only roughly $349 and you can get an excellent tablet. But like somebody said, the docking fees, the IT stuff that goes along with that may have increased that. And like was just pointed out, we are the only ones that will have access to that tablet. There will be separate tablets for the planning board. And Jane, do the selectmen have tablets?
I do. I'm ashamed to say I don't use it much, but I do have it.
Okay.
And it works. I'm not a fan of technology all that much. Wrong generation, you know?
And to Mike, for the balance of this year without the tablets, I would strongly suggest, like it's already been said, to get us hard copies, because I like to sit here, mark them up physically, and I can't be going to different documents on the tablets, on the computer, excuse me, right now, because of that. But at least if we can ask for the remainder of the year that we get hard copies, important to me personally.
Okay, so I'll get Cindy, I'll get to you in a second.
Okay,
That's my thinking, and that was gonna be the question I had for Jane, because last week I got this flurry of changes that you saw, and that's why I created the folder to send them all out. We had changes in sewer and water and planning and all of this and so it's like, uh-oh, I better make sure everybody has these. But now, Jane, you talked to, and this happens in digital file transfer, is now you've talked about 3 or 4 changes that happen to the budget, but I don't think we've received those, or I don't think I've received those digitally.
Yeah, last night we just received all of these changes last night. And I've been checking my email to see if Jonna sent them out to me. She said she would. I don't find them. But one day turnover is a little tough, so I get it.
So where I'm sort of going with that is just we have to be careful if we're going to do things and send them around digitally. It's like, well, we can't have this week's, but then we didn't get the next changes, and then by the time you're at the end looking at the final product, you don't know how you got there. So that's just something, but I felt it was my responsibility to make, and just today I got changes from Ron, which you saw on there from the fire department. That can happen when we're doing it digitally, as stuff shows up at the last minute. It made it for the meeting, and I'm not saying Ron did anything wrong, but it got there, but it didn't have, nobody filtered through it or anything that was there. And then maybe the next one we didn't get. So until we have the tablets, I agree with these guys, or lean along the way, is that yes, we have paper copies, and we almost all concentrate on that. So that's just my opinion. Hold on, I said I'd get to Cindy. Go ahead, Cindy.
Yep.
yeah, I just had a question. I mean, we're talking about the tablets, and I agree with Jack, we're talking $300 for a good. What are we talking about, docking stations and software? What software, other than you just need an email connection on it, or some way to receive the documents? I don't understand where you would be spending $600 or something on software and docking stations. A tablet, you put a plug in the wall. There's no docking station. You know what? And what am I missing? Maybe I'm not IT fluent, but I mean, I was able to get all of those documents through Google Drive and take them down to my desktop, and I can print them if I want. I mean, the tablet, I don't see $1,000 a tablet doesn't make sense to me either. Maybe I think a few other people agree.
I don't know what kind of security has to be in these, if they're owned by the town. I don't know, Ron, that's all yours.
What's that?
I'm sorry, did we wake
Well,
you?
I spoke with Jane just a second ago on her way out, and that price was what Woodstock paid for theirs, that their budget committee uses. So that was probably a year or so ago, year and a half ago when they got theirs, I believe, their budget committee.
All right, and you had mentioned to me, or Butch mentioned it when I brought up the idea that we have some standardized software, and he said, yes, you would be working with that. So there is some software involvement in it, and I don't know what the security apparatus or what the security setup has to be on it, because they are owned by the town. So I don't know, but those questions are out there. And
yeah, it'd be the antivirus software and everything that the town uses, and I'm not sure.
You would have your own password. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still, I just know I got a new laptop and it was $1,000, and I know it's a good one. Well, wow, that's great. So to be continued. It's in the budget. They probably just want to make sure they have the right number, and a big enough number to cover anything. So we'll wait till we get to the details from Ron and Butch. Paul?
Yeah, just a couple comments. I agree that I like to have hard copies, and I really want to have them this year. The only problem with that is that how do we pick them up at town hall? How do we actually get our hands on them? We call, they have to come to the door. So there'll be some coordination there that will need to happen. The problem with the tablets is the size of the documents that you're trying to get and expand. You only may get a certain portion of it, and so you really, that's a drawback as far as I can see. But I mean, when I started thinking about it, the budget committee has been doing hard copies since I've even been on it for, seems like forever, but and there hasn't been that many changes that haven't been able to get to us in hard copy. This year presents a whole new challenge with the COVID, but I don't think it's insurmountable. I mean, people are going to the town and dropping off checks, and people are coming to the doors, and I mean, as long as we can coordinate the changes that are necessary, I think we can all get hard copies. And I really don't think it's definitely not going to be $15,000 worth of hard copies. So,
Yeah, if I could, Chair.
Herb?
I definitely agree with Paul. I think hard copies are essential, and we can work out something where we can pick up something at the town. What I did at a recent trustee meeting, I mailed in the minutes to Jane and a financial invoice to Jonna, and they got it and it worked out well. But I can't agree with Paul more that hard copies are essential for the budget committee. Thanks.
Jane?
I just want to give a heads up. I just heard there is going to be a shortage. It's starting to be a shortage of paper. Just as a heads up, everywhere. So it's kind of like the paper towels and toilet paper thing. I don't know what's going on.
we're going to get them on toilet paper now.
You better get
They're going to convert them.
Recycle them, Paul.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I don't believe that, Jane. I don't believe that for a minute, because you go to the Office Depot and those places, and there's reams of it. I mean, just boxes of it. So
Time will tell, right? Time will tell. That's what I was told.
Well, this discussion isn't unusual, because way back in the beginning of computers, it was going to make it the paperless office, and that didn't happen. So that's why I mentioned that earlier. I can see it's easier for me to manage my files and these papers on a computer, just manage them. But what you're saying is right, and what Jack's saying too, is hard copies, because you want to be able to write them. Now, my brand new laptop, I have a pen and I can do things with. I haven't learned how yet. But we may end up, what happens sometimes is now you've got a combination of paper and digital. And now it's like, which one is it? And which one are we talking off of?
right.
So there's going to be some, and it can be done. There's some learning out there that's going to go. I think we need the tablets, but I do believe we should do hard copies too.
I mean, and if I could add one more thing, like that, when you get the hard copies, and I know myself, for example, I make all sorts of little notes like Jack does, and then you have the next meeting, you can always pull that hard copy back to you and say, oh yeah, I had this note about this. I wanted to remember this, and maybe a little check mark by it or something. But when you're on a computer, it's hard to kind of like figure out how to make that little note, to kind of remind yourself what you wanted to talk about. So.
Oh yeah,
Right.
no, I know.
Absolutely.
I've been bouncing back and forth, and it's not easy. But I'm sure that Tracy will be able to handle every bit of this detail over the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yep.
So Mike, can I make a motion that we use hard copies for this year for the budget committee, and that we consider, maybe what we do is we kind of look at it and see where we could, if we could possibly change, do it that way for next year, but kind of look at it in that respect. It doesn't mean that we're not going that way, but at least for this year, make the hard copies a matter of what we do. So I would
I'll
make that.
second that.
All right, hold on. That wasn't really a motion yet. Al?
That was a motion.
The motion.
Oh,
I
you-
second it.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry. I thought it was more of an exploratory.
No,
Is,
it was a motion, and
No.
I think that
No, you're right.
Dr. Erb seconded it.
I did.
Okay. So the motion was to conduct all of our business on hard copies for the
Right.
21 budget season.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. You made the motion, Herb seconded it.
Right.
Discussion? Susan?
I'm not always able to stop by town hall between when I leave work and the time the meeting starts a half hour later. Can we still send digital copies to the drive? Because I find that very helpful, the Google Drive.
I would say that's why I wasn't so sure if a motion was needed, because I think we're gonna have a hybrid anyway. If something comes out to me that comes in, I'm gonna email it out to everybody. Then if the town has the printed copies, you can stop by and pick it up. There's gonna be some learning and some adjustment as to how we do it, but we'll get something in. Jack?
Following up on that, I agree with Paul. But by the same token, Woodstock has used the tablets for a couple of years. When we meet on the 20th, let's ask them or discuss with them the downfalls, the pitfalls, the positivity of the use of tablets. I think get somebody that's actually done it, used it. I mean, they're no different than we are. They've got the same type of budget system that we use. So let's get the feel for somebody that's been in the trenches for a couple of years.
Okay.
I think they have a younger budget committee, Jack.
Well, maybe some of them haven't been on too long, Paul.
Speak for yourself, Paul.
Further discussion?
Well,
Okay,
should we
all in
amend
favor?
that? Should we
Sorry,
amend that?
Mark,
Should we amend?
amended. I hear you, and that's
I think
why
the chair-
wasn't sure- Wait, no, 1 second. That's why I wasn't sure if we wanted to do a motion on it, because we have to sign hard copies, and we're not using DocuSign yet. And I'm gonna send things out, like the agenda and other stuff that's gonna go digital. But we are gonna have copies of, we do need hard copies to work off of. So it's almost like it's gonna be made the same. Let's say, because I don't know if I'm just wondering if the motion kind of corrals us into anything, like you can't use digital.
No.
And, okay,
Do we need a
Mike,
motion?
Mike, if I could comment, you're the chair. So you have the ability to take, you're the chair, so you have the ability to continue using that Google Doc, which I think, I used some of that today and I thought it was great. But I mean, if you continue to use that as it comes to you, but we can pick up hard copies if we want, at the town hall, then we kind of get the best of both worlds, as you said, it's the hybrid, But I just don't want to rule out getting hard copies because there seems to be a lot of interest in it, myself included. So, I mean, as you said, it's a hybrid, and as long as we vote that we want the hard copies, the administration will know that that's what we want. And we can work on both avenues.
okay.
Right.
Further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion to, the decision to conduct all of the Budget Committee official business in digital copies, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Hard copy,
In hard
Hard
copy.
copy.
hard
I
copy.
thought-
You said
I'm
digital.
really sorry. Hold on.
Said
Let me
digital.
restate that. Let me restate
Yeah.
that. Is, all in favor of the motion to conduct all of the Budget Committee official business in hard copies, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so hold up for a minute.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, all opposed? Oh, Al, your hand went up? Okay, it's,
No, He's voting with us.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, it's unanimous. We will conduct, the Budget Committee will conduct its official business with hard copies for this year.
Okay.
And Al, you wanted to say something?
No.
Oh, okay. In the beginning, I didn't see your hand up, that's why.
Well, Mike,
Paul?
Mike, I would like you to continue using that Google Docs as well, if you don't mind, when they send it to you and put it out on that, so that if Susan or someone else, myself or someone else wants to grab it off of there, they can as well. You know, if it's that way there, it just doubles up on some of the things that if we don't get it in hard copy, we may be able to get it in the Google Doc, you know, and there may not be that much of it, but maybe we can kind of see how it works.
Yes, and that's going to be the thing that happens when you do it digitally, because like I said, we got some last week. I got some today, but they made changes yesterday, didn't get those. So, sure, anything I have no problem putting it up on the Google Drive. It's just, we're going to have this mixture going on.
Yeah.
There's a time lag between getting paper documents too.
Thank you.
And I'm okay with it, but there's going to be a time lag. James?
Thanks for doing that.
Sure.
Thanks.
James?
Yes, I was thinking, well, did you want to go first, Susan?
I recognize James.
Oh, I have a bigger hand, it's right out there. What I was thinking is, you know, the thing about computers are they're lovely and I can use them. However, they're very frustrating when you don't know how to use them. And it takes hours to self-teach, of which I have done. And they do offer classes through the Municipal Association with computers. But maybe we can ask Butch about providing a little instruction when in which you decide to get your iPads to how to use them, because that's the most frustrating part. And it's more work than it's worth. And you're on a budget committee, you want to spend the whole day figuring it out. So I could do that if you want, or you could do that, Mike, and see if you can propose that and see if you can get some lessons through the Municipal Association.
If you'd like to, you see them more often. Go ahead. You can check.
Yeah. Come here to Littleton, which I don't know when COVID's going to end though. We could do Zoom, and
Right.
we can't get some instruction. Would everybody?
It is frustrating,
figure it out?
but it is almost like you just have to learn it. I beat my head against the wall every day, but it's almost like there's no choice. Susan, your hand was up next.
Yeah, I was just noting, remember we talked last week about putting the time and date on. So the new documents we got say December 15th, 1:54 p.m. So that's how we know how new they are.
Yes.
Correct.
I
I
noticed
mentioned that to Jonna. I'm sorry, Mike.
that's all right. I noticed that there wasn't on any of the papers that came over.
Drafts, not on drafts.
Right, they're not on drafts. Okay. Yeah, sometimes I wonder if you're getting, when you update using the file time, is that what you mean? The file date and time, Susan?
Yeah, but like the original big PDF says 9:45 a.m. on 11/25. And then the new ones in the bottom right corner have the date and time. So everything I look at has a date and time.
Right.
I think the time is critical. I agree, Susan. Yeah.
Well, I'm just wondering if that's the time that I uploaded it, or is that the time that they voted on it or chose
It's
it?
actually on the document. If we're talking about the same thing, in the bottom right-hand corner of the document, it has the date and the time.
Which document?
I was looking at some of the budgets that came
The budgets.
through, and the date and the time were in the bottom right-hand
Right.
corner.
We're up.
That's head on.
And I believe that date and time is when it was last revised.
Right,
that's
exactly,
correct.
Paul.
When Mike had it or what? When Mike saved it
Well,
and uploaded
Let
it?
me take a look. Because I remember when I first got them and I opened them up, I didn't notice anything on any of the pages. And maybe I hope it is like that.
I saw it right on a document, right down in the bottom right-hand corner, and that is important, because I can remember being in budget committee meetings when we went out and revised it in time, and
Right.
it came back with a later time. You have to have that time, because it can happen in the same day.
And
But
that's
you
why,
can't, you can't go by the time, you can't go by the electronic register when the file was saved, because that reflects when you saved it to yours or Mike, sent it out or whatever. It's gotta be the pre-printed date and time on the document itself.
Okay, and I'm just saying, I looked at those Excel sheets and stuff, and I don't know why, but I didn't see it.
Yeah.
But yes, it needs to be printed on the sheet.
Jane has her hand up, Mike.
Yes, Jane?
I just want to clarify with Susan, does that make sense what we're talking about now? As far as the time and date being on in the past that we received lately did not have them. I did notice that and I talked to Jana about it. Okay.
but the draft that I have has them, so I'm.
You did have- These
Which
are,
one, which one are you looking at, Susan?
So, and we have the binder in which we printed the original 52-page version,
Mhm.
which has the time and date in the, in the bottom. Hang on a second, let me find the front of one page here where it says
Yeah.
draft. So that says it in the top right corner. So like here, I'm looking at number 2, tax collector, for example. It says 9:45 a.m. at 11/25/2020.
Mhm.
But if I look at the updated version of any of those other documents that were sent out, or put in the drive today, for example, the operating budget totals worksheet, in the bottom right corner, it says 12/15/2020 at 1:54 p.m.
All right, hold on now. That was in which file?
So we had the one PDF, and then there was all like 8 or 9 of the Excel sheets, which were the
Right.
updates, it looks like.
And which Excel sheet did you see the time and date?
All of them, but for example, look at the operating budget totals worksheet, which was the last one in the grouping, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
Bottom
That's
right
the-
corner.
that's the one I'm looking at right now.
I don't see a date and time on that Excel spreadsheet either.
It's on the
does when you
PDF.
print it.
It's on the PDF that we received.
So when you print the Excel sheet, it shows up. It's basically outside of the square, let's say, of the worksheet. So if you're looking at the file on a computer, you may not see it. But
Yeah,
when
I'm
you
looking at the file on the
print it-
computer. It doesn't have it. It
Yeah,
must happen just when you
right.
print it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if
Like
you
a
look
print-
at if you look at the PDFs that were created from printing, you'll see it.
Yeah, so if you just do a print preview, you'll see it in the bottom right corner.
Okay, so that's a little bit of this educational process.
Like,
There's
do you
lots of
guys
little things
don't
like
see
that.
the operating budget totals worksheet title at the top center either, I'm guessing then? Like the
Yeah.
title of that sheet, right? So those things show up when you print. They're the header
So I
and
think
footer.
what we're saying here, what I think we could get out of this is that our printed copies are going to be the ones that we make decisions on.
Right.
Because everybody, if there's a time and date, then everybody will have it.
Right, I mean, this is the same file. I pulled this out of the Google Drive and printed it.
And
that's-
printed it, right? Right.
And actually, in that same file, you did get, Mike, a 2021 draft budget at the PDFs, where they actually took the files and printed them all out for you and put them into a PDF. And you can see what the printed version looks like if you look at the PDF.
Yes. And so where we're going is, see this discussion. Some we're seeing it, depends on your browser. Some we're seeing it, some no, it doesn't show up until it's printed. So if I were, in the perfect world, is we would all have very good printers and you would get this digitally and print it off yourself. But that's not necessarily, that's not where we're headed. So that's why I think now I'm more in favor of the motion, in the sense that our official business will be conducted and based on the printed copies that we received. This is almost like reference material in the background, but I'll still send everything out. You can have it that way. I like to organize it that way. But if there's ever a question on anything, is those printed copies we get from the town are what we'll base everything on. If that makes sense to everybody.
Yeah, good sense.
So by that January 5th meeting, we'll have those budgets to look at in a printed copy.
How will we know when we can pick them up?
That's the other that's the other operational logistics. That's what I mean, as far as how we're gonna do it and when are they gonna be ready? And then let's not forget that Ron Beard volunteered to deliver them all to us.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, that was very
Right,
thoughtful.
Ron? Ron, down the
Yep.
chimney on the 25th?
No, yeah, I can, whatever you need, I can take care of.
Hey, Paul, Mike, I don't want any bribery, to approve his budget if he's gonna
No,
deliver.
no,
No
no.
tip, no quid pro quo,
No.
You're right, that's how it's done in Boston. Jane?
Mom just sent me some documentation from Judy, who is the administrative assistant, Judy Welch in Woodstock. Would you like me to read it? Or for you to send out? It talks about the
Go ahead.
iPads and how much they paid. Read it?
Yeah, go
please.
ahead.
Okay. It says they are Apple iPad Pros. I believe the iPad and keyboards were around 1,000 each, and we ordered directly through Apple. There was no charge to receive emails on the iPad. It would be just like receiving them on your phone. You will need to set up iCloud accounts, which are free, and I can help you with that. We want paperless and use it. We went paperless and use a program called BoardPack, which we absolutely love, and that has a free based on the number of users, a fee based. We pay an annual amount of $2,250. If you want to check it out sometime, let me know. So on top of it, there'll be an annual amount, I guess, for repairs. And Butch, it says, see below from Judy regarding the iPads and keyboards. If that was the case, it should be it. But if that was the case, we would need at least 12 for the budget members. So that would be 12,000 plus the 2,250 if those prices are still good. The total would be 14,250. Thanks, Jonna. So you're talking about apples, and it would be, the total would be 14,250.
Right, they're iPads, they're not just tablets.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
They're a little different.
But, we have to sort of evolve into that. It's not going to happen right away, but I remember when we first brought this up, it was meant to get rid of all the paper. That's what the original purpose of this was, to get rid of all the paper. So at some point, you have to, if we're going to go with these and work them, you have to kind of make that step that it's going to be digital. Because from the way they talk is that they are doing everything digital. From the way that I gathered that.
I don't know if you can. You have to, well, you can sign, yeah. I sold some land and I did it all online, everything,
Exactly.
so it is kind of the way the world is going.
Right. So we'll go with it in fits and starts and work it in that direction. But they're iPads. That's the reason that you're paying the price. That's a good machine.
They're not tablets, yeah.
They are nice, yeah.
But Mike?
Paul? Yeah.
I'd like to comment on what Jane Ludwig said earlier, is that, maybe we could start with some of the educational portions of how to use it. And what, even if whether it's a tablet or an iPad, and what other, there's probably things that I don't know for sure how to do on a tablet or an iPad that might be able to learn through the municipal association about how you do it. And then if everybody became comfortable with it as a learning tool, then we could, maybe we would go to it. But, I'm kind of old school, and with the paper, I like to write my notes. But if I could find a way to do it on a tablet or something, and someone could show me how to do it so I felt comfortable, I might be more willing to do that. But right now, I'm not that comfortable with it.
I understand. No, I don't think we are. I don't think we're ready as a committee to step away from hard copies.
It doesn't sound like we have an option at the moment anyway, right?
No, there's no money.
Right,
Right.
there's no money, so I think it's kind of a moot conversation. And I think staying with the hard copy is where we have to be and where everyone's comfortable right now.
Right. And then in this interim is everybody play around with their stuff, you know, as far as an iPad is completely different than a laptop and from the way it operates and the way you move around in it. And if we are going to go that way, you learn on an iPad, it's different than a laptop. So just keep playing with it and you know, by next year is, then we'll take it to the next step and municipal has training. Yes, Paul.
I hate to keep interrupting, but so I'm thinking about during this COVID, and Jane said there was no money. So there were two questions that raised in my head was, one, what is the unexpended fund balance for the town? Because we're in December already. And the other is with this COVID, there is some federal and state monies that are available. Are those available to assist committees to be able to buy things like this so that they can use them? Because I know the COVID, you have to meet using this format, Zoom. So maybe I didn't know if there was COVID money available that could help purchase some of these things, either now or later, or I don't know how you look at that.
I was told, oh, never mind, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jane.
I was told that there were no more COVID accounts available last night by Butch. So that's kind of where we stand with that at this point. Well, it's going to be up in January. So.
Well, with the new administration, there may be some.
Yeah, I think he might pull through for us. I don't know.
Jane,
Susan?
so the 2,000 was based on their budget committee size, but don't they have like 5 people or something like that?
They have 3.
Yeah.
I mean,
We have 4 times as many people.
the budget. Yeah, we have many more.
And I thought that was a fee based on how many people had the iPads.
Maybe I don't really know, quite honestly, Susan, how many is on the board. I never counted them.
But yes, I mean, it's a
That's
handful.
all I know.
But in that email, the fee was based on how many people, right? That was a per person.
Mhm.
So we need to take that into account when budgeting.
Yep.
Right. There will be many conversations and shopping because you know, before we pull the trigger on what type we're getting and how we're getting. You know, we'll all work with Ron and you know, see what comes up. Again, I always kind of throw it in is start the learning process before you get the laptop or before you get the iPad. When you have some time, start to look through it. Like that thing, Board Pack. Look it up online and see what it actually does. That's what I'm going to do. And there's usually competitors out there, or you know, I don't know. There's other things. There's 1,001 apps that are out there. So, but that's a good point. I don't know. They only have 3 people on their board. I thought I saw a lot more laptops there. A lot more tablets than that.
Yeah, there were more than 3 people at our meeting, at our joint meeting.
Must be
Yeah.
something, I'm thinking-
Maybe they got them for the selectmen as well as the budget as well as, I don't know.
Woodstock has more money.
Okay. Let's move on.
Do we have any further agenda items?
Nope.
Motion to adjourn?
Second,
Motion by Paul, second by Jack. Discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand.
Aye.
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 Opposed? Everybody's aye. Don't see opposed. Nobody wants to abstain? Okay. The motion is passed. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Merry Christmas.